Sales feed. Any good salesperson knows how to handle objections, but where's the sales training to help us handle rejections? Sadly, we're going to hear no far more than we're going to hear yes. And if you're a salesperson who truly cares about your clients and prospects, that rejection can feel personal, like we're being dumped. Sure, we logically know our prospect has decided to buy elsewhere, but that also means they decided to trust elsewhere. Now, some salespeople bounce right back. They just pick up the phone or hop on Zoom and start building new relationships right away. Others, well, they take a little more time analyzing what went wrong before they try again. But either way, successful salespeople need resilience. Your success depends on your ability to bounce back from rejection or failure. And that's why we could all learn from the fairy tale of a salesperson named Ella, who might just be the modern definition of resilience. I'm Andrew Davis, and this is how it all began.
Are you guys ready up there? All right, quiet on the set.
The year was 2021, and a striking 36-year-old woman named Ella was seated at a wooden desk with a blue curtain stretched behind her. In front of her, a camera. The red light flashed before her eyes. That was her cue. With a confident smile, Ella launched into her script. Her audience that day was small. It likely included her 3 poodles lounging in a corner, but her target audience, the one that would see this recording on her company's website, was much larger. It was filled with female entrepreneurs, side hustlers, and founders-to-be who dreamed of building their own business. And with over 14 years of building multi-million-dollar companies, Ella was in a unique position to guide her students through this journey. You see, Ella had experienced wild success along with outrageous failure. And this particular venture was just the latest effort for this queen of resilience. Would her new business be a success, or would it be a failure? Then again, in this story of resilience, does it really matter? It wasn't that long ago that Ella's former company was making its own young way into the world. 4 years ago, there was a different camera in front of her, but this time, Ella was wearing an off-the-shoulder yellow gown with an enormous bow fashioned over her left hip. Photographers were calling her name while she posed in her red strappy heels. Ella was strolling her way along a pink carpet towards a television premiere, a series based on her life story. But her autobiography had turned into more than just a TV series. It became a movement that launched a podcast and a media company and even female-only rallies all over the country. At these events, women from around the globe gathered seeking inspiration and tools to grow their businesses. Would this business continue to grow and inspire women around the world? Doesn't matter, because this is a story about resilience. For Ella, her new media company had become the support network she had always wanted for herself. But even this isn't the true start to Ella's story. No, if we want to really know how it all began, we have to go back even farther. So, let's meet 19-year-old Ella in 2003. And this time, the camera wasn't held by a videographer or a paparazzi photographer. No, this time, the camera is a security camera mounted on the wall of a large shopping chain. And that camera followed the well-dressed young woman as she filled her shopping cart with a George Foreman grill, a basketball, a set of fancy shower curtain rings, hair care products, and even tampons. Then, like she had done dozens of times before, Ella boldly pushed the cart out of the main doors of the store without stopping to pay. Ella bolted when she sensed the employee trotting after her out into the parking lot, but guilt got the best of her, and she went back to the store and turned herself in. For the young woman living with her alcoholic boyfriend in a treehouse in Portland, Oregon, getting caught stealing was the straw that broke the getaway camel's back. She was determined to set her life on a better path. So Ella packed up her stuff and drove south to live in her aunt's spare cottage outside San Francisco. She was making $13 an hour checking student IDs at a local art school when she came across a book called Starting an eBay Business for Dummies. As a lover of vintage clothing, the type you can buy at thrift stores and yard sales, Ella decided to put a piece of clothing up for sale on eBay. Ironically, it was a piece of clothing she had stolen during her former life of crime. The item sold quickly and Ella was hooked. Day after day, Ella listed more and more items on her new eBay store. Vintage leather jackets, studded belts, and knee-high black boots. Ella had a gift for finding the diamonds in the rough. For 2 whole years, Ella was obsessed with watching her eBay business grow. Thousands of 20-something women began shopping at her store, usually earning her about $2,500 per day. Her cult-like following came with her as she outgrew eBay and started her own store website, which sold out its entire inventory on the very first day. By the end of 2008, the company was bringing in $223,000 in revenue. Now, fast forward 3 years, and that number had ballooned to $23 million. With Ella at its helm, the company continued to grow and grow. Everything she touched was magic, like a fairy tale. In fact, the New York Times went so far as to name her the Cinderella of tech. She had a gift for using social media platforms to market her business. Inc. magazine named her to their 30 under 30 list, and Business Insider listed her as one of the sexiest CEOs alive. By 2015, Ella's business hit $100 million in revenue and opened several retail locations. Ella was absolutely unstoppable until she was stopped. Cracks were starting to show in Ella's masterpiece. Employees complained of a toxic work culture and unfair firings. Then there were the accusations of knockoff pieces and poor quality. After a period of very rapid growth, Ella stepped down as CEO. By this point, our Cinderella was slowly becoming a Cruella. And in November of 2016, the very day Trump was elected president, our 32-year-old queen of resilience heard some devastating news. She was just about to take the stage for a speaking event in Australia when she learned that the company she had built into a $280 million fortune was bankrupt. What did she do next? Well, she walked onto that stage, of course, and told her story. In the grand scheme of things, losing most of her ridiculous fortune and selling her company for pennies on the dollar in bankruptcy, well, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. She was proud of what she'd achieved. After all, a few months after that fateful day in Australia, her next business was already taking off, hurtling her towards that television premiere. Ella was picking herself up out of the ashes to inspire millions of women across the globe. If only she, like so many of us, had had the foresight to predict a global event that would change the course of history.
COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
It was 2020, and again, Ella was sitting in front of another camera, her web camera, in a Zoom meeting with the last few team members. Tears welled up in her eyes. She took a deep breath and went on to explain, without the revenue from live events and brand sponsorships, there was no way the media company could continue under her leadership. The entire brand, like countless other businesses affected by the pandemic, needed to adapt, and Ella would no longer be a part of its journey. Ella stepped down as CEO again. But her instinct for resiliency snapped into gear. For the first time in her life, she was ready to prioritize her well-being over her ambition. She was feeling inspired to give more than she received and to be of service. So, how does it end up for our Cinderella turned Cruella? Will she snap back from another multi-million-dollar failure? Find out after the break. I'm Andrew Davis, and like you, I know that sales is a tough gig. It's competitive, mentally exhausting, and what works today might not work tomorrow. That's why we're here to help. Who's we? Well, we're SalesFeed, brought to you by Vidyard, and we believe in sharing ideas, stories, news, and entertainment to help you be more successful, to help you sell more tomorrow. Find us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts, or head over to salesfeedmedia.com and trade your email address to get the very best of SalesFeed in your inbox every single week. SalesFeed by Vidyard, because we could all use a better life in sales.
All right, quiet on the set.
So, back to the present day, we find Ella once again in her studio filming a web video for her latest business venture, which is a 10-week business mentorship program called Business Class. The irony of a failed businesswoman with no formal education teaching a business class can't be ignored. Sure, she had had some pretty public losses, but here she is, bouncing back again like the proverbial rubber band. Over her 14 years of business experience, Ella built 2 wildly successful businesses that landed her the cover on Forbes magazine and a TV series featuring her life story. Yet, she also stepped down as CEO of both companies and saw them both ultimately fail. So yes, this woman, sitting at the wooden desk in front of the blue curtain, has learned some extremely difficult lessons in her life. Lessons that tested her to the very limits. But for Ella, each time you show up to work and do your very best, you're planting seeds for a life you can only hope will grow beyond your wildest dreams. With a flash of a smile and a wink of her eye, she continued to record that script. Will she be successful with her latest venture? Does it matter? This story is a bit different from our typical tale, not because Ella didn't achieve wild success, because you can hardly call building 2 successful multi-million-dollar businesses a failure. No, this story is a story about resilience. Ella knows how to bounce back. She bounced back only months after bankrupting a $100 million business, and only months after leaving her media and event company, she's bounced back yet again with her latest venture, an online business mentorship program. Now, I'm not sure exactly what she teaches in her business class program, but starting something new is exactly what we'd expect from our hero, our Cinderella turned Cruella turned, well, I don't know, I can't think of any other Ella fairy tale characters, but that doesn't matter actually, because our hero isn't named Ella at all. Her name is actually Sophia Amoruso. Yes, Sophia Amoruso started a vintage clothing line called Nasty Gal. She wrote a New York Times bestseller and created an international movement and a media company called Girl Boss. And she's back again with her latest online business venture called Business Class. So, is Sophia Amoruso's story one of a failed business person? No, not in the slightest. In fact, she might be one of the most resilient business people in the world. And that's a lesson I sure hope she covers in her online business course, because we all know that it's not how hard you get knocked down, it's how fast you get back up. And for Sophia Amoruso, that's how it all began. That's How It All Began is written by Rachel Kraft and Andrew Davis. Our editor is Sean Cleary. Our head of research is Emily Allen. Our illustrator is Kelly Kingman. And our production manager is Elizabeth Davis. Our executive producer is Tyler Lessard. That's How It All Began is a production of Monumental Shift and is distributed by SalesFeed and Vidyard. Find us on YouTube, iTunes, and wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe now so you don't miss the next episode of That's How It All Began.